I wanted to make £1,000 betting on golf in 2025 and do a video series showing how easy I find that. So I've done this. I'm 9 episodes in now. I'm now £2,700 in profit. Look, don't get me wrong. I could have been down at the end of all of this. I could have been break even, or I could have been in profit. That's the nature of golf betting. You kind of need longer than a 1 year cycle to prove if a golf betting system is profitable or not. Regardless, I'm 9 episodes in, I'm now £2,716 in profit. And I've had a lot of questions from people about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and I just wanted to go through all of those questions and answer them. Maybe it's helpful for someone, maybe it isn't. But yeah, my rule is I'm only betting in shops, because whilst you can bet on online soft bookmakers, a lot of the feedback is that people get restricted and shut down, including myself. I do not have a Bet365 account with which to place bets. So I'm kind of limited to the shops, and also the shops near me. I could go to a Boyles, but the nearest Boyles is miles away. So you haven't seen me go to Boyles. Nothing wrong with it. It's just I'm not going to travel there for it. I mostly go to Betfred and Ladbrokes for my shop bets. I'm not saying you won't get shut down in shops. It's just a lot harder. I know people that have been doing this for a decade. I've been doing this for a decade, going into my local shops and placing bets. I know some might argue the counter argument to that is you're a losing bet, and that's why we have a historical dashboard at Bookie Bashing with all of the results. So yeah, it seems like if you wanted to, you should be able to go into shops. And even if you're restricted, you might know someone that will, go get me a shop coupon. I'll fill it out. You go place the bet. I mean, that shouldn't be so difficult. So let's go to the first question, shall we? So Brutal asks, what are the place terms like on the Betfred coupons? So they're different to online. I mean, they can be the same online, but they don't have to be. So don't just look online and think that's what's in shop. And they could be 5 places 1 to 4, 6 places 1 to 5, 7 places 1 to 5, 8 places 1 to 5. It depends on the tournament and the week and the traders. We try and match at Bookie Bashing the prices from online, and they're generally the same as on the printed out coupon, and the terms can be edited by the first person that sees that they're different. You go in, you get your coupon. The coupon says 7 places 1 to 5. Our tracker might say 8 places 1 to 5, and so that's a bit of false value. You can go edit terms at the top of the golf tracker. You can change that for everybody. So please don't change it to something it isn't, just to play around. It changes it for everyone. Additionally, we have a standalone tool called Forecast under Tools Golf Forecast, and that will allow you to see the EV of any player at any price under any terms. I think up to 12. I don't think we've ever seen 13 before. I think that's that upper limit. So yeah, the answer to your question is it changes every week, and it doesn't necessarily match online, but it does say it on the coupons. It's quite clear. Grillo Man, that's 19k that second place has cost me in 4 weeks. I mean, Grillo came second in a playoff last night. I have to say I was on him. That's a lot of money. Just keep on going. We did have a period of time where we won every playoff. Now it feels like we've lost a few in a row. But 19k is a lot of money in 4 weeks to nearly win. Stick at it, okay? Jamie says, love the videos, Tom. Why do you only bet 2.5k-ish on singles when the long-term ROI of the golf tracker is 30%? Is there a reason why you don't look to scale this further? I mean, it's an interesting enough and a valid enough question. Honestly, I used to bet much higher than this, and I now bet lower because I have a family, a mortgage, and kids, and I'm actually just not comfortable losing the sums of money, the variance. I mean, you can go a year losing on golf betting. So I've reduced my stakes by a lot. I mean, 10 grand might have been a liability win in the past, 2.5 now. I don't actually always go for 2.5. I tried to do a bit of rough Kelly staking, but it's kind of, bottom limit 2, upper limit 3. If it's mega, it might be 4. Also, I have to bear in mind, a lot of the players I'm on, I'm including more than once, because I'm including them in singles and doubles, and we have to consider that in variance calculations as well. So I might be losing, £100, £50 each way, £100 on the win, but because it's in doubles, I've got a heap of money there as well. So it's not just the singles I need to include in my consideration. Remember, don't judge anyone by the levels that they stake. A lot of the online social media influencers think that they need to stake £10,000 on a bet. I have all the admiration in the world for someone that bets to win £100 and has got a really amazing model and is returning 20, 30, 40% return on investment. You never know who's Auntie Ethel left them millions in their inheritance. And for me, around about 2 to 3, sometimes 4,000 on the win is a nice little balance between what I want to go through with volatility and variance, and also what I think stays under the radar with the shops as well, with a little bit of meta to game to play in the shops. I mean, if you're going to be wanting to bet to win 25k, you might want to consider splitting that up into smaller bets in different cities just to stay under the radar. This person says, ever had an issue getting paid out? No. Simply no. Once when it was 14,000, I had to hang around for like an hour whilst there were some checks that just felt unnecessary. Occasionally the shop doesn't have cash and you have to go to a different shop. I mean, that's nothing to do with you. That's just the shop's giving the cash to the local race course or just didn't have enough in. Occasionally I'm not back to lower stakes. Not really on golf. More often on horse racing. But yeah. So yeah, no. I mean, I'm still good. I'm placing golf bets in 2015. Placing golf bets in the same shop in 2025. LFC says that great vid, keep them coming. With Ladbrokes, do you just use the terminals to put your bets on and then collect your winnings at the front desk? Or can the terminals be used to cash your winning bet slips? So in Betfred, they have coupons. They also have a machine, but you don't want to use it. Okay, it's worse terms, it's worse prices. I also like using coupons because I get to talk to the staff. You want to talk to the staff. The staff don't like anonymous people. People moan about getting barred, right? These are the people that are trying to stay anonymous. They're generally trying to be fraudulent or even worse, arb. And so you want to be the opposite of that. So I want to talk to the cashiers. In Ladbrokes, though, there are no coupons, so you have to use the machines. What happens if you get a winner? You go up to the machine and you scan it, and let's say you won £500. The machine then logs £500 worth of credit as if you'd stuck £500 in. You then have to press a button that says cash out. It'll give you a ticket. You walk up to the counter. You get your £500 from the counter. You might have to come back like I did last week because they don't have £500, but that's just, it might be in the safe, and they've got some things where takes 10 minutes to open the safe. Right. Siva Balazingham says, really enjoy the betting videos. If you can post your videos before the start of the tournament, that would be nice. I really would love to. That would be ideal. In fact, I started doing the betting series because I wanted to talk about bets before the event, because talking about them after the event on the Bashcast gets a bit like, well, I'm cherry picking the winners. So I did these betting series where I'm talking about bets up front, but then doing them for online bets was boring. Like, it's boring watching me place bets on a computer. Nobody wants to see that. So I record them in shops instead. I mean, to be fair, by the way, someone said, why don't you bet on the exchange? And I answered, well, because it's boring watching me place bets on the exchange. And they said, it's boring watching you place bets on shops. I mean, reeled me in there. So I'm doing these series in shops. One of the reasons being because it's a little bit more interesting. 2, because I can't get each way value on the exchanges, right? And 3, I'd love to post these before the tournament starts. I don't know if you care about logistical issues. Here's last week. You can check on the bet slips. I think the time of the bet, you can see that they all happen on a Wednesday night, because I take my kids into town on a Wednesday night to take them to acrobatics. I meet some friends for a drink, and in the middle of that hour, I pop to Betfred and Ladbrokes. I try and get it done in like 10 minutes. I mean, part of this is it's meant to be snappy. So I've got an hour window, 40 minutes of having a pint with my pals, 20 minutes of walking into Betfred, walking into Ladbrokes, right? Then I'll take my kids home, do dinner, talk to my wife, walk the dog. Don't know if you've ever experienced the feeling of nearly being 50, but by the time all of that's done, I'm ready for bed, and the videos take 2 hours to edit. So I then get up on a Thursday, and the European Tour starts at 5 in the morning, or at least the markets go and play. And I'll try and edit my videos that day, and then get it up as soon as possible. Last week I was at Smart Bash in London, so it was just a little bit. It depends on my life circumstances. I wish I had a full-time editing team, and then I would get that done. But it's me doing it, right? Okay, next question. Well, it's not a question. Just started shop betting, and I definitely need to invest in a Manbag. Organization is key. I've actually got little pencil cases in there, one for Betfred, one for William Hill, one for Ladbrokes, so that I know where all of my bet slips are. And just before I go into the shop, I can just dip into one of those pencil cases and say, right, these are the bet slips that I want to get checked, because check them all. You never know if you missed a winner. We missed a winner this weekend. I didn't know that Jacob Bridgman had placed, and was very surprised when I found that I was getting like 400 odd pounds back from him. I was expecting it to be a zero, so never throw those slips away, always get them checked. What details do they ask you when you first go into a bookies? I haven't been in one for a year. Answer, nothing. I mean, look, if you go in and you place a £10,000 bet, they might ask for something. Or if you go in and your doubles win and you're going to be paid 50 grand, they might ask for ID. Nobody knows what the threshold is. They actually listen to Harry Stewart more on SBC podcast. They deliberately don't say what the limits are for asking for identification, because everyone would just bet underneath that. But I went into Betfred last week. I picked up £1,500. They've never asked my name. And then I went into William Hill and I picked up £1,100, and he said, I need to know what your name is. So I gave him my name, my real name, and that was it. Don't be scared of it. What is the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? There isn't a bad thing. I mean, if they're going to ban you, they're going to ban you whether you're anonymous or not. And actually, I think they're more likely to ban you if you're trying to be anonymous. You're not doing anything wrong. You're going in there and placing a bet. I mean, people have used data and information to place bets since the history of time. So don't worry about it. And if they ever turn around and go, you can't bet here anymore, and I'll tell you this, I can't remember the last time I ever heard that being said to anybody on golf. Occasionally, it might happen on horses. I'm very suspicious when it does happen on horses. Those people are arbing, and I don't know the full information. And of people I know, it's never happened in a decade. So just don't be scared. They don't ask for anything, right? Another tip is to tip. I mean, this sounds obvious to people that do it, and it sounds unobvious to people that don't, who might argue that it affects EV, it affects ROI. Well, I'll tell you what tipping does affect. Those guys that know how to win, but they walk into the shop, they don't want to talk to anyone. They shuffle around, they look at their feet, they're wearing a Mac, a dirty Mac. They don't want to chat to the staff. They're certainly not going to tip because it affects their ROI. My God, I remember a lot of the arbors, the shop arbors had this mentality of, oh, I'm only making 2, 3, 4% per arb. I'm not going to tip them. Look, if you get £1,000, give them a tenner. If it's more, give them 20. A lot of them are minimum wage shop staff. They'll remember you, and they'll be less incentivized to escalate your name and your face upwards if they know that they're going to get some sort of tip from you the next time that you have a big win. I know a particularly adept, fairly high level shop better. He's really good at like mobilizing a large team of shop bettors together in a very short space of time to make a quick profit from a short-term edge that he has. He says, I've known heaps of shop bettors, and the ones that don't like to tip, A, know the cost of everything and the value of nothing, and B, don't realize that you catch more bees with honey than vinegar. So tip. And if you don't tip the staff because it removes 0.1, 0.2, 0.3% away from your edge, then A, your edge isn't big enough, and B, it's part of the game. It's part of the game that we're playing. For the love of God, if you're worried about petrol and parking and tipping, you're not making enough out of shop betting. Okay, next question. Someone says, as an anxious type, the shop footage is useful and gets me closer to doing it. Please don't be anxious. It's nothing different going into Morrison's, going into Tesco's. And I promise you, if you walk up to a counter, smile, look someone in the eye, ask them how they're doing, ask them if they're having a good day, make it about them. That's a nice interaction for the shop staff that are just sat there, almost all of them on minimum wage, and they want to just have a conversation back. And it could just be as simple as, weather's nice today. You will run into the occasional arsehole. That happens in all spheres of life. You could go to the petrol station and run into a Jobsworth arsehole. And this year I've run into a bit of a difficult person at a Ladbroke shop that I suspect was an area manager. He still paid me out for my bets. I don't think we're best friends. I tend maybe not to go to that shop that often because of him. But that happens. That's nothing to do with me or bookmakers. That is, he's a bit of an arse. He's a bit of a Jobsworth. You get that everywhere. You get that at the petrol station. Someone says, you're a loose cannon. Golf tournament over rounds are 45%, so only idiots bet at these. Fine. I have a dashboard with 4,000 plus, maybe 4,500 historical bets where we run at 30% return on investment long term. We've turned a 1,000 bankroll. If you started listening to our bets in 2019, you'd have turned 1,000 into £17,000. We've won golds at weekly golf value over at the Smart Betting Club Awards. We are independently proofed, yada, yada, yada. So if you think I'm an idiot betting at these odds, then that's fine. The only thing I will say is that the weekly golf value and the weekly tips we have, it's a little bit easier to get a lot of value on those, and you will have different players on those because let's say Chris Kirk is value at Bet365, at Sky Bet, at Betfair Sportsbook, but he's like 33 to 1 at those books, and then he's 22 to 1 at Betfred and Ladbrokes. Well, the 22 to 1 won't be value, and whilst Chris Kirk might be in weekly golf value and everyone's on him and maybe on the exchanges, just the price offered at Betfred and Ladbrokes is so bad that we can't get on him in shop. That works both ways. I'm often on players in shops that I'm not on the weekly golf value. Brian Campbell was a perfect example of that at 250 to 1. So it doesn't matter that the shop bets are completely different to weekly golf value. It's all the same algorithm, and it will all be the same ROI over time. Your focus as a user, maximize your EV. I wouldn't necessarily take over 100%. I think I start at 105, 110% on singles. Might add a few 102s in on doubles to flesh those doubles out if they were short prices. Higher the price, higher the EV needs to be. Just remember that. I've been a Bookie bashing member. This is Carlene for years, but never been in a shop. I think I might give it a go. Any tips? Just don't worry about it. Just be total chill. It's so easy. Go and place your first one. If you want to, go into the shop and place a bet without any Bookie bashing software. Now, bear in mind, you'll want to place to a liability that you will do in the future. Don't go and place a £1 bet at evens when your next bet is £100 at 100 to 1. That will make you stand out. But you can just place it anything random, and that gets you used to the shop. I mean, go into the shop, ask for a coupon, and then just fill out a couple of guys and bet to win your standard liability. Yes, you'll probably be losing, but you're going to gain a little bit of experience on how to place in shops. Next time, place the value bets. I mean, maybe a tip that I haven't publicised very much is that often at Betfred, I like to ask for the coupons, and then I will leave and go for a pint with my buddies, and I'll fill out the coupon in the pub, because then I can just have my tracker there, and it's like really suspicious. Not that I don't do that in shops, I do. I've never ever been caught or asked not to look at bookie bashing in my shops, but it's just very comfortable in a pub. So you could do that. Go in, get the coupons, go to the coffee shop, have a coffee, fill it out, go back. Be aware of the price cuts, but don't be too sensitive about them. You can very often take them, and it's not prohibitively inexpensive in the long run. I went to bed with Fleetwood on a 3-shot lead. I wish I had gone to bed with Fleetwood on a 3-shot lead. Do you need 2 places to go into profit? Well, that was a week where, I did, but it didn't. I'm looking at the win. I don't want to squeak into the profit. I mean, one day I'm going to hit a big bloody double. I've been so close, so long. And a lot of these doubles, like last week, 200 to 1 Davis Bryant and the DP World Tour, 250 to 1 over in the PGA. Now, the place on that, just the places, and it was 7 places over here. The PGA guy only needed to come in the top 10. It was Taylor Montgomery and another player were up at 200 and 250. Just finished 10th. And that's 40 to 1 times 50 to 1. That's 2,000 to 1 just on the place. You got £1.50 on that. You get £3,000 back just on the place double. And that was so close last week. So load of value in these high odds 200 to 1 guys being put into doubles. By the way, had he done really well and they'd both gone win-win, I may have had to have checked the max payout at Ladbrokes, because at £1.50 stakes it looks like, or £2 stakes it looked like it was going to be over 100,000, and I'm not entirely sure what the max payout is, but didn't happen. So what types, this is Double Trouble, what types of bets are you placing here? Is it all multiples? I like to do singles and then doubles. This week I'm going to do doubles because it's 2 tournaments. Next week I'm going to do singles because it's just the Open. I like to do both. Are the odds on the coupons not changing? Yes, they do change, especially closer to the off. They can be cut. They can go out as well. I like to write down the odds that I would accept on a coupon, like a bet slip, and then I go to the counter. And you can use the forecast tool for that. At the counter, if he's telling you odds, do you know what? If one's gone out and one's come in, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm like, okay, well, one might be slightly bad. One's even better. It's fine in the long run. I mean, but it's really weird when they go out as well. That's because some of them times when it's like 7 places, there's no exchange market. Fred doesn't know that it's value, but we know that it's value because we've got the model in house. David Pym says fake tell with the 94 quid. That's when I got my maths wrong at the counter, and I promise you this, I actually genuinely did get my maths wrong. I was thinking of something else. I was over here and I should have been over here. Buster Flush says, well done, great results. Shame about the dead heat, but I'm sure you're not complaining. I think I was. I don't know what week that was. A few place doubles as well. Wonder what the trolls say about this. They still maintain that I'm a losing better and we don't make any money out of shops. And sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it. Bet on Davis Bryant at 200 to 1. Hey Tom, is there any reason you mainly use Betfred? I did at the beginning because I like the coupons, but then I introduced Ladbrokes. I'm pretty glad that I did that last week because that's where the value was. Betfred and Ladbrokes are the local shops in my town. It's just easy to get on them. I've got to go a little bit further afield for a William Hill, for a Paddy Power, and there's nothing more than that. I try and do this in 20 minutes when waiting for my kids to finish acrobatic. Frack says, I've been profiting from your tracker for 3 years and we hardly ever have the same picks. This is the thing. This is the beautiful thing. This is all from a tracker. It's unusual for someone to have everyone that is plus EV in a particular tournament. It's just covering too much of it and you don't have that much opportunity. And it's really weird how you can have your selections, I can have my selections, Weekly Golf Value can have their selections, the weekly options can be slightly different selections, and the shop bets can be different selections. And after a long enough period of time, all of those return on investments start to become the same. It's an odd thing, but yeah, there's no one right answer. And just because I win doesn't mean that you should have. You could lose and I can win and it's fine. On a week that I lose, I know plenty of people that got the winner. So sometimes it just comes down to when and where you look at the particular bets. That looks like a fairly decent shop and staff until you win 20 grand, of course. I have won 20 grand. I still bet in the shops. I will admit, after winning the 20 grand, I gave the shop a little bit of wide berth for a small amount of time, but I bet there again. So it's just meta game. Don't go crazy, right? That answers most of the questions that we've been sent through. If you've got any more, you can send them into tom@bookiebashing.net or leave them under this video. I'm thinking of doing a live Q&A session next week because I'm then a week on Friday, which will be the 18th of July. I then break up with my kids to go on our summer holidays until September. So that'll be the Open that weekend, and that will probably be my last video until September on the golf. I mean, it is quick. The thing is, I'm going to pop into the shops and play some bets. I just don't have time to do the editing because I'm not going to be at home for the 2 hours to do that because I'll be away with the dog and the tent and the surfboard and the barbecue. So probably the Open last week will be the last video until September, and then we'll pick it up and see how we're doing there. So I may do a live Q&A session on YouTube. If I do, make sure you're subscribed to your Bookie Bashing emails, and Vivi will send out an email to remind you. All right, all the best. Good luck this week. Yeah.